Testing, testing. Brothers and sisters, it's time to get started for this service. If we could have you please come and sit down. I'd like to invite the immediate family that would like to come up for the family prayer to please come up and gather around the casket.
Father in heaven, we come together this day. As friends and family and loved ones, Stacia, to remember her in the midst of life here on this earth. Father, we're grateful for memories and experiences that we were able to make with our beloved Stacia. We're so grateful for the love and the joy that she brought to so many people's lives. We're grateful for the time that we were able to spend with her. Laughter, the joy of the games, travels, and the love that was spent to say that we'll never be forgotten. Father, we ask a blessing on the family and the loved ones of Stacia. They can feel peace knowing that they're just not gone forever, but just simply until we meet again. Let's say this is the name of the Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. We're just trying to make some sisters before we close the casket. We're going to do this special step up and our last time. Okay.
This might be a little rough, so ask for a little patience. Thank you, Uncle Adrian, for the prelude music. I know we all text a bunch of songs that we knew Stacia would enjoy, and appreciate you working those in. I want to thank everyone for being here today to celebrate the life of the amazing Stacia Rorke. I know people took off work and drove a long way to be here, and I want to let you all know how much we appreciate it. Stacia would be so happy to see so many people here sharing the love. I want to recognize her father, Stan, and Joyce, and her mother, Evelyn, as well. As we all kind of gathered and thought about how we wanted to spend this day, we all kind of thought about how Stacia likes to do things a little bit her own way. And we also know that Stacia likes to inject a little bit of fun into everything that she does. So we thought the very best way that we could celebrate her would be to simply have some time to share memories and share stories and just reminisce. And we know that Stacia loved to just sit around in the living room and talk about memories and share stories, and it was some of our funnest times. So that's how we're going to remember her today. So with that in mind, I'm going to begin by sharing a tribute from her father, Stan Albrecht. I'm then going to share some of my own memories of my sister. That will be followed by Cooper Rorke, Stacia's son, who will share some memories of his mom. And that will be followed by sisters Sherry and Rochelle. At that point, Brooke Ann Dalby, Stacia's niece, is going to play a piano medley of songs that she wrote the piano medley, and she's going to share those songs, and they're songs that Stacia loved and that remind us of her. At that point, it's going to be open mic time, and it's a chance for anyone to be a superstar. So we're just going to set aside some time for anyone who would like to share a memory or share a brief story. There will be time to do that. I do highlight the word brief because Stacia will be angry with us all if we let this drag on too long. So, but we really would love to hear from anybody who feels so inclined to share a memory. So, and then I will be back up here. You get to hear from me again at the end. I'll be back up to wrap things up. So. All right, so this is a father's tribute to his daughter by Stan Albrecht. There are so many wonderful memories that I could share with you from those years during which I have had the great honor of being Stacia's dad. This includes particularly memorable events like a fun fishing trip with just the two of us, fulfilling a lifetime dream of going to a World Series game at Dodger Stadium, and the list could go on and on. But in these few moments today, it'd be unfair to fill the time with my own memories, while those of others who knew and loved her are equally as important. Therefore, I will be more focused. As a shift change was occurring during one of her hospital stays, one of the attending nurses was passing Stacia's chart to another who was there to replace her. During this interaction, she was overheard to share the following diagnosis: severe liver failure, and then adding a very judgmental assessment about my daughter. I refuse to let that kind of uncharitable and unfair statement define Stacia, particularly when it comes from someone who knew her not at all. I do understand the pressures that face those in the health professions, including daily challenges that can sometimes harden the soul and lead to a loss of compassion. I make no judgment here, but I remind us all that words matter and labels matter. And how we label others can go a long way in determining how we treat them. So in this case, please allow me to correct that script. If I could pass along the chart that summarizes my daughter's life, I would want to make sure it included the following: severe liver failure. Mom. Station Cooper lived with Joyce and me in the months when he was a baby. One of the greatest joys of life was returning home from work each day to watch my daughter care for her special child. Though dealing with the challenges of being a single mom, she devoted her life to her son. I wish everyone could just walk through the home she made for him and see the countless photos of him or the two of them together, laughing, loving, and sharing. I have never known a more devoted mom. Severe liver failure, daughter. She was everything anyone could hope for in a daughter. I have always been so proud of her as she has confronted life challenges and risen above them. During the COVID pandemic, she would call almost every day to see if there was anything we needed. She accumulated a huge storage of toilet paper and was always willing to share. Her goodness and compassion were most clearly reflected in the special care she gave her mother during her own health challenges. Severe liver failure, sister. One of the things that has brought me greatest joy in my own parenthood has been the opportunity to watch the relationship between each of my children and their siblings. They love one another. Care for one another, and share the joys and challenges that life has brought each of them. As each will attest, she was a very special part of the sibling group. She was. Severe liver failure, aunt. I am guessing that if you were to ask any of her nieces and nephews, they would describe Stacia as their favorite aunt. She loved them and they loved her. One needs only to see some of the cards and notes from Max and Millie that they prepared for her during her most recent illness to understand the depth of their love. They will miss her deeply. Severe liver failure, co-worker. As a single mom and sole breadwinner, Stacia had no choice but to develop a successful career to care for herself and her son. She was an amazingly hard worker. She started her own business. Her work ethic and her professional skills allowed her to advance quickly through the ranks in her positions she held. And throughout, she was loved by those with whom she worked, in significant part because they knew that she honestly cared for each of them. Severe liver failure, neighbor. Though I had fewer opportunities to observe this personally, I have heard neighbors express their appreciation for her. Gifts of vegetables from her garden, meals during times of sickness, and so many other quiet, behind-the-scenes acts of kindness. Severe liver failure, greatest Dodgers fan ever. You didn't have to know Stacia long to understand that probably second only to Cooper, the Dodgers were her greatest love. From fingernails and toenails painted Dodger blue to a wardrobe that included as much Dodger gear as you could find in some gift shops, she loved her team. She knew each player and his batting and pitching stats. She rejoiced in their wins and mourned in every loss. One of the very special texts I received from her came on Wednesday, the 30th of October last year, just after the Dodgers made the last out and defeated the New York Yankees to win the 2024 World Series. It read, "I am so happy right now." 5 exclamation points. Anyone who knew Stacia at all well knows that this list could be much longer. Yes, she had a horrible affliction, but that didn't define her. She was and is so very much more than that, and that is what I would want you to remember. So I ask of each of you, when you think of Stacia, as I will every day for the rest of my life, please remember these few highlights from my memory bank and those many, many more from your own, and rejoice in who and what she truly was. As we have gone through this journey as a family, we have experienced moments and even days when our hopes were lifted. And our spirits soared. Sadly, these times were inevitably followed by those when hopes were dashed and hearts were broken. There were many days when her remarkable courage was matched by the giving goodness of loving siblings, and even some where that trifecta of parents was able to rise above the scars from old wounds to work together for a greater cause. These were the positives in an otherwise painful and difficult time, and we truly did experience the best of our country's healthcare system, though we were sometimes exposed as well to some of its worst. In the end, I must declare that I cannot imagine a world without my beautiful daughter in it. Yet she is not, and we must go on. So, Stacia, I now wish for you freedom from the pain that you have bravely endured for too long. Freedom from the body that in the end failed you. Freedom from the memory of past events that tortured you, not allowing you to move on to experience that life where you were fully able to be the talented, beautiful, joyful, wonderful person that you truly are. I love you. As I've spent the past few weeks thinking about my amazing sister, specific memories keep flooding my mind. I would like to spend just a few minutes sharing some of those memories with all of you, and I have no doubt that many of you are going to relate to so many of these. Stacia was a great cook. She loved inviting people over for dinners that she spent all day preparing. She always brought the tastiest dishes to holidays, events, and parties, and I'm going to miss savoring her delicious creations. Stacia was my tennis buddy. We traveled around the state playing doubles tournaments together. I remember sneaking out of the house every Sunday afternoon to head to the local park to play tennis with her. Stacia was a competitive game night opponent. Whether it was Uno Attack, Clue, Pit, or Outburst, she was a rambunctious player who didn't like to lose. Stacia was my movie partner. I can't count how many times we watched Dirty Dancing, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Can't Buy Me Love, Clue, and other favorites. I introduced her to many scary movies that I had no right introducing her to at such a young age. Stacia was always willing to be silly and make a fool of herself for a laugh. I know we can all picture her jumping into the center of the room to perform a silly dance or a scene from a TV show or a movie. She always brought the energy and she always brought the smiles. Stacia was witty and sarcastic. She was always quick with the one-liners, and we've all talked about her ability to keep her wit right up until the very end. Stacia was fiercely loyal. Being her sibling, you always knew she had your back. If you were in the market for a new car, you chose to take Stacia with you. When the rest of us would shy away, Stacia would fight for every penny and every upgrade. She was everyone's biggest cheerleader, and she believed in our abilities often more than we believed in ourselves. She was always there to cheer us on and provide support. And finally, Stacia was my dear friend. I adored her more than I can share. I will miss her dearly, but I will always treasure the memories. I love you so much, sis, and I always will. Thanks for making my life better by being a part of it.
Sorry, my heart is racing faster than I can drive, so this might take me a minute. I'm sorry. I was asked to give a speech and share some memories about my mother. However, speech has never been my style, and I have more memories than I have paper. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to read you a letter I wrote to her instead. And if not, tough luck, because it's what I have prepared. Dear Mom, life between us wasn't always great. We both said things that we probably wish we could take away. However, the beautiful thing about life is that it always gives us a choice. And I'm gonna make a choice today to remember the good. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I swear I'm sorry. I wrote a list so I wouldn't swear. I apologize. And I'm gonna make a choice today to remember the good. And because of that, I wanna make a few promises, because I know you'll make sure I always stay true to them. I promise to live a life worth living. You taught me how to always find the beauty in life. A skill that probably needs a little more practice, if I'm being honest. Even when times were tough, you always knew how to make me smile. Like how when money was tight, but I kept begging you to take me to the newest superhero movie. So you'd smuggle in dinosaur nuggets and a can of root beer so we could still have a snack while we watched the movie. Or how when you found me in my room mid-panic attack, you sat with me and helped calm me down. Then you took me downstairs and shared your favorite ice cream while we stayed up late and watched Friends on a school night. I also promise that if I ever have kids one day, I'll tell them how awesome their grandma was. How she always managed to find the love in everyone. That even in the end, she sought to spread kindness and laughter. Whenever they won't listen, I'll tell them that they're as stubborn as you were. I'll share stories of the trips to Las Vegas or Disneyland and show them the same shows we watched together. And after that, and after I've done all that, I'll make more memories with them. Memories that they can share with their kids. I'm almost done, I swear. And lastly, I promise that I will always, no matter the circumstances, root for the Dodgers. Not only because they're obviously the best team, but because the memories we shared while watching the Dodgers are some of my favorites. Whether we were in the stadium cheering our hearts out, or at home yelling at the players while eating our DoorDash chilies or whatever we felt like that night, baseball will always hold a special place in my heart. And I have you to thank for that. I don't know if you can hear me, but I hope you can. Because I want to tell you once more, I want to tell you once more that I love you, and I miss you so much. This is the hardest paragraph to read, I'm sorry. And I know that no matter how tough life gets, that you will always have my back. Mom, you are much more than a mother to me. You were my best friend and my teammate. It was us against the world. So I'll need you to give me some of your strength. Because if I'm being honest, I don't know how I'll do this without you. But as long as I know you'll have my back, then I know I can do anything. Love, your favorite son, Cooper.
I'm not sure I can do this. This has felt so unreal for the past week. We knew it was coming, but we weren't ready. you'll find a theme in a lot of things we say, but I just wanted to point out some things about Stacia too. Stacia loved her time with family and friends. Sisters' massages. I gotta tell you a little story my kids said to share, but one time me and Rochelle and Stacia went to get a massage. And Rochelle got her own room, and Stacia and I got the couple's room, because that's all was available. And I haven't had very many massages, so I didn't know how it worked. But they told us to dress down. I saw what I thought was a dressing room in the corner, so I went over there to dress down. Meanwhile, Stacia dressed down right in the middle of the room. The worker came back and said, "Where's your sister?" And Stacia said, "She's over there in the sauna." I thought it was a dressing room. During COVID, Stacia had a membership. She paid a monthly membership for that massage place, and she paid it all through COVID because she wanted to help the workers. So I don't think Shell and I ever paid for a massage because she had a lot of those built up. Often we'd meet Brian afterwards for sushi at Stacia's favorite sushi restaurant. Brian mentioned sibling game nights, DoorDash, or Stacia would cook. We had bachelor night at her house. We watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. We always had so much food at those parties. We all remember Stacia and the babies. All the babies loved Stacia. I don't know if because they really liked her or if it was because she always had whipped cream or frosting on one of her fingers. She would always sneak the baby's sugar, except Coy and Crew and Sage. Lexi was too big of a guard. She never let it happen. And Dr. Pepper, too. She used to get just a little bit of Dr. Pepper in the straw and give it to the babies. I'm not going to know what to read or what to watch next on Netflix without Stacia to tell me her recommendations. Stacia liked nice things. She loved fresh flowers. She liked her house cleaned with the carpet vacuumed just right. She didn't like it if you stepped on those vacuum lines. Stacia dealt with a lot of pain. One day I was over there and she used to grab my hand and squeeze it, sometimes at medical procedures or when she was in pain, but one day she said, I was just sitting there, she grabbed my hand and she said, "Blame Bryant." And then she let out a blood-curdling scream. She said, "Bryant told me to scream when it hurts really bad." She thought that was funny. A few days ago, Stacia said, "I had a dream that someone was feeding me French fries. I'm pretty sure it was Crew." And one of my other favorite stories is this was just a few days ago. We were taking her up to her room and she looked over at her bedside table and she said, "Crap, Carla stole my Doritos." We had a lot of jokes like that. Stacia was really picky about food preparation because she worked in the food industry. For years and years and years, I would make baked potatoes on Sunday. I'd take them out of the oven and leave the leftovers out on the counter for a day or two. Then I'd slice them up and fry them with butter. Stacia told me I was going to kill my kids feeding them poisoned potatoes that I fried in butter that sat on the counter. Apparently all that stuff should be in the fridge. You know what? That was my sense of humor story that got mixed in with my Stacia like nice things story. On her cat Maisie's birthday a few days ago, Stacia sent us all pictures of her cat. None of us cared for that cat except Cooper. And now Mom, because Mom has a new pet to move in. And y'all know how my mom loves cats. But I want to go back to my Stacia loved beautiful things. Fresh flowers, clean house, freshly ironed, freshly carpeted, freshly vacuumed carpet. She always had her hair done and she always had her makeup just right. Jim and I recently bought a camping trailer, and we asked her if she wanted to go camping with us, and she said, "No thanks, you guys hang out with the spiders and dirt, I'll stay home." We would go on vacations with her. She liked a nice VRBO, not a hotel, or a really nice hotel, not an old hotel, but she always wanted a big room and a fancy bathroom. And she loved having a gym on site. Stacia never missed a workout. Spent a lot of times on that treadmill downstairs. Everybody's mentioned this before, and I'm almost done, but Stacia always had my back. Even when she was so sick, I would go over there and I'd say, "How you doing today, sis?" And she'd say, "I'm tired of talking about me, let's talk about you." I gotta tell this one really fast too. You know, Stacia and I were divorced and single for a while, and we shared a lot of dating stories and dating experiences. Whenever we were dating a new guy, since I was a real estate agent, I had superpowers. I could look up people's addresses. Stacia was dating a particular person who lived up in Salt Lake, and we wanted to see what his house was like. But we didn't want him to recognize us. I had a raincoat in my car, so I had my raincoat tied around my face. Giant sunglasses. Stacia comes out with this giant scarf tied around her face. Giant sunglasses. We got in the car, and Steve, if you're watching this, yeah, this story is about you, Steve, but we got in the car and we drove up to Sandy area, trying to figure out which house was his. Ended up driving down a private lane that ended in his driveway. We panicked getting out of there. You guys would have loved our disguise. We did that more than once. Stacia always accused me of being a fake Dodgers fan, which makes me angry because I am a Dodgers fan. But I don't know the stats like she does. One time, she asked me who my favorite pitcher was, and I said Justin Turner. And Stacia said, "He's not a pitcher." I said, "Yes, he is. I saw him pitch." Dad was there. He agreed with Stacia. Justin Turner was never a pitcher. We went to a Boston Red Sox game a few years ago when Bryant was running the Boston Marathon. We got a tour of the Fenway Stadium. It was so fun. It was so cold. We were watching the game. I don't remember who they played. Stacia, of course, was decked out top to bottom in Dodger gear. Dodgers weren't playing. But I was cold and I went and bought a Boston Red Sox sweater. Stacia was mad. "You can't wear that." I wore it and she was mad the whole night. We recently, in August, went to San Diego. Stacia had a dream to watch the Dodgers play in all the different stadiums. We went to a game in San Diego in August, just a few weeks ago. Mom and Stacia got the expensive seats right by the dugout. Bryant and me and Rochelle and Jim and Bob, the rest of us, we were way up there. But she made sure she had a good seat. She loved the Dodgers. Every time I took her to medical appointments, she was decked out head to toe in Dodgers, and the people at the hospitals would tease her if her team had lost or if their team had won, or anyway, she was the #1 Dodgers fan, like her flowers stay. Stacia loved life. She wanted to live, and she conquered a lot of odds and went a lot longer than people thought. We used to call her the Energizer Bunny because she kept going and going and going. Stacia was loved. Our mom was there 24/7 for weeks and weeks. Dad and Joyce kept the freeway hot, coming back and forth. Cooper would watch the games with her and try to help her decide what she wanted to eat and make sure she got food. This has already been mentioned, but if you go to Stacia's house, there are pictures of Cooper everywhere. And then I forgot about this too, but Cooper used to give his mom the best Christmas present in the world. We all waited to see what Cooper got Stacia. Where are you, Cooper? Her house is so full of those random things that young man bought her. If you noticed the yellow robe hanging back there, that was one of our favorite Cooper gifts. Stacia immediately modeled it. Her siblings, Bryant and Colby, so many game nights. Rochelle's kids, Max and Millie, the notes, the artwork, the letters, they're everywhere. My kids and grandkids, friends from Maverick and Texas Roadhouse. She was loved, and like everybody has said, she always had our back. I was sending a text to my siblings the other day, and I typed them in and I started to add Stacia's name. I'm gonna miss her like crazy. I love you dearly, sis.
I've reached old lady status, so I have to take off my glasses to read. All right. Okay. I cry a lot, so I warn you. At only 17 months apart, Stace and I were built-in best friends. I barely have a memory in my life that doesn't include her. When we were little, my mom loved to dress us alike. We always had matching outfits, including matching Sunday dresses that my mom always handmade. Because we were so close in age and we always were dressed alike, people always thought we were twins. And Stace and I loved to go along with that and pretend we were twins. Growing up, we always shared a room, and we always shared a bed, and would lay together at night and tell each other secrets, including what would go on each other for Christmas or birthday presents. And my mom said she'd come to check on us and would be holding hands as we were sleeping. We loved to play house, and were constantly dividing up our baby dolls that we could play mother to. We got along well for the most part, but I remember one time when we were little, we decided we didn't want to share a room anymore. So we got a roll of masking tape and divided our room in half. And one of us had to stay on one and one to stay on the other until we realized that the door was on one side, and so one of us was trapped. And the bed was on the other side, so the other person couldn't sleep. And so then we decided we'd be best friends again. Another favorite memory of her when we were little is one night she'd done something, I don't know what, not surprisingly, and she got sent to her room after dinner. And it was quiet, and we thought she was just in there reflecting on her naughtiness. And at one point we went to check on her, and she had decided to show us all by taking a black marker and coloring our entire white dresser black. So she sure showed us true Stacia fashion. I can't speak of our childhood without recalling memories of us in what everybody called the Fab Five. So Stace and I were lucky to be born right in the midst of, there were 5 of us girl cousins, me and Stace and Amber and Kim and Stacia and Stacy. And the 5 of us just had the best of times. We loved when holidays or long weekends would bring us all together at my grandma Ellett's and would always beg to have sleepovers. We loved to go to my grandma Albrecht's house because she had these upstairs rooms, and then the moms wouldn't be aware of what we were doing. And we loved to sleep. There was one bed up there that would all try and cram into, and usually Stacy got shoved to the floor with a pillow and a blanket. And the other 4 of us would cram in the bed together, would sneak out and go throw rocks at Greg Turgeson's window and try and get him, but he didn't know how lucky he was. He had 5 girls after him. And I've had a hard time recalling memories. I think I'm just so sad. But one thing I remembered is one night we were all 5 of us girls were playing at my Aunt Francine's, and my Aunt Ruth had driven over at night to pick us up to take us back to Grandma Elt's for night. And my Aunt Ruth was talking to my Aunt Francine, and us 5 girls decided we were going to play a joke. So we snuck out into the back of Aunt Ruth's van, and we were laying under the seats and in the very back, and we thought we'd hide so she didn't know we were there, and that she'd think we had decided to sleep at Aunt Francine. So Aunt Ruth comes out, and she went along with it beautifully. And the whole drive home, we were sitting there snickering and telling each other to be quiet, hiding back there. And the whole drive home, Ruth was, "Your moms are sure going to be sad when I get home and there's no little girls to tuck in tonight." And when we pulled up to my grandma's, we jumped out, surprise, you know, as if she didn't know we were there the entire time. But oh, we loved playing with Amber and Kim and Stacy, and loved them. We were all super close. Stacy and I were only a year apart in school, and we loved that. As we got into high school, I would try and take classes later so that I could take classes with her. I remember taking French and math classes. I loved it because I could kind of keep an eye on her and help her, and she loved it because I'd do the homework for the both of us. She was always the fun, and I was always the practical. But in reality, she was just fine on her own. I just loved having her close by. Right after high school graduation, I had planned to go on a trip to Europe with my school group for a month. I was going to be traveling through 7 countries. And I was all packed and ready to go, and at the last minute, Stace comes running in and says, "I get to come too." And I remember being a little upset that she had kind of wormed her way into my big adventure, but it truly ended up being a trip of a lifetime. We got to travel 7 countries, and Stace was always obsessed with the Eiffel Tower, like it was her thing. And I remember the two of us laying under the Eiffel Tower at night, just looking up at the sparkling lights, and she told me years later how much that meant to her to get to do that with me, and how grateful she was that I let her tag along, because if I'd had a choice, right? Not long after that, Stace moved to Seattle, and then Arizona. I moved to the Bay Area. And some of my greatest memories are of the two of us traveling to see each other. We loved to see each other. We also wrote letters, and I'd kind of forgotten this, and I'm so thankful this was prior to texting and emailing, because I have a stack of letters from Stace that we wrote back and forth, which are now just precious. But some of my favorite memories are just going to Seattle and watching her try and navigate the hills in Seattle. She was so scared to have to stop if a stop sign was on a hill, and so she'd practice pushing in the gas and not the brake, and the engine would start to smoke, and it was so scary for her. She always packed gourmet picnics that we would take to different sites like Snoqualmie Falls. She introduced me to tomato-flavored ramen noodles in Seattle, and then every visit I came, she had them stocked for me. We'd do nightly marathons watching Friends, a show we both loved, and one of my most special visits was just weeks after Cooper was born, flying down to Arizona and helping her set up Cooper's room. Oh, she loved Cooper. She was so thrilled to be a mom, and it was so special watching her in that role. One other thing about us, as Bryant mentioned, is Stace and I and Bri, we always loved scary movies, loved them. Every time I went on a trip, we would try and find a scary movie to go to, and would always think it was hysterical when we got ID'd going into our R-rated movie. I can still see the way she'd pull her legs up to her chest at the scary parts. And as she got more sick the last year, it was our thing. I'd go over and would lay on the bed, turn on a scary movie to watch. As everyone said, Stace always loved the little ones. She loved to spoil and play with them. If you turned your back on your child in your high chair, you'd turn around to find them covered in pickles and olives and piles of frosting. Their popsicles and ice cream cones never run out, because as soon as it got low, she'd sneak another one in their hand, so they always had a popsicle or an ice cream. Due to her illness, Max and Millie and I and my husband, we've been able to spend more time with her than I think would have been happened. Max said that was kind of a blessing. We would play Uno and go fish and Old Maid and puzzles, and I'd get little craft kits that my kids could go make with her to decorate our house. She and Max have become the cutest little pen pals, writing letters, and she always loved to tell Millie to go pick a stuffed animal out of the basement, much to my dismay, because our house was overflowing with Aunt Stacia's stuffed animals. But I will, as Sherry's mentioned, I will greatly miss our girls' bachelor nights, our sushi dinners, our game nights, our trips to get pedicures, and just having her there. As everyone has said, she always had your back. I was the one that always wanted to protect her, but she didn't need it. And on Tuesday evening, the night before she passed away, I was laying by her, just holding her hand, and at that point, she was pretty much unresponsive. She hadn't said anything since that morning and was pretty much in a coma. And as I was laying with her, I just very heard her clearly say, "I'm okay." I mean, it was clear, which was amazing, because if you'd tried to talk to her the last week, her voice was so weak, she could barely speak. And I just knew it was her way of letting me know she was okay, because I was always so worried about her. As hard as the last weeks were, they were so tender. It was so special to just help her blow her hair, or think of a food she wanted to eat, even though we knew she wouldn't be able to eat it. Watching the games, I'd give anything to be able to. She had a set of stairs in her house, and would get her down, and then she'd decide she needed to go back up. And I felt like all we did was help her go up and down those stairs. You'd just get her all down and comfy, and a movie queued up, and she'd decide she needed to go up and brush her teeth. And you'd help her go up once more. What I wouldn't give to help her do that one more time. I just want to say my family's amazing. It's been so heartwarming to watch the love and compassion shown to Stace by my parents, my siblings, my husband, my nieces and nephews, and my kids. My mom has not left her side. She's done anything and everything for her. They would walk around the neighborhood. I remember a cute story with my dad where she wanted to go for a walk, and she just insisted on bringing her purse in the wheelchair, like she was going shopping. She's Anyway, I'm so thankful for the time I've had and for the memories we've made. I love you so much, Stacia.
I just want to quickly explain. I chose songs that remind me of Stacia and the time I spent with her. I'm closer to Stacia in age than I am my own little sister. And Stacia and Rochelle were very much part of my childhood. All my aunts and uncles were, but my elementary school had a lip sync every year. And every year, me and my friends wanted to be in this lip sync, and Stacia would choreograph our whole routine, and we would spend hours and hours practicing. So that's where a lot of this music comes from, is from those silly lip sync routines. So.
Stacia came into my life not by birth, but by love. Shortly after Stan and I got married, Stacia came to stay with us. After a few weeks, we felt a connection. She treated me with kindness and respect and offered her trust and affection freely. I will be forever grateful that Stacia let me into her world. She never treated me like a stepmom. She welcomed me into her life and later into her son's life, Cooper. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to witness the special relationship she had with her father. Stacia had a quick wit, which brought lots of laughter and joy. They shared the love of Dodger baseball and their love for books and for movies. And whenever something special occurred in Stacia's life, her father was the first person she called. And when she was sad and very discouraged, she called her father for advice and to reaffirm that she was loved unconditionally. I have many special memories of our long conversations and those moments of quiet understanding. We shared stories and secrets, and yes, lots of tears. She taught me patience and empathy and how love can blossom in unexpected ways. Her absence leaves a space of words struggle to fill. But even in grief, I'm thankful. Thankful for every moment with her, every hug, and ever, I love you. To have known her was a gift. To have loved her and her. Stacia, you'll always be my beautiful stepdaughter.
With permission, I want to do this, but the Stacia that I knew, as we all do, we have our quirks and we have our characteristics and our personality that sometimes are less than attractive. I share some of those with her. I can be stubborn. I can have my moments of frustration and anger. But the Stacia that I knew that I come to love was the Stacia that I'd meet every time we came to family outings at Evelyn's house. It was always a smile, always words of kindness, always questions about how I was doing. And it was a joy for me to be around her. And I mean that sincerely. During the last year of her life, I guess, my work took me to Salt Lake City, and my daughter had moved to Riverton, or to Fremont, so I had no place to stay when I was up there. Evelyn opened up her home to me. And so I stayed there during the week. I got to know Evelyn really, really well, I think. And let me tell you about the sacrifice of her. And I'm sorry, Evelyn, if I embarrass you. But Stacia was ill. And Evelyn would leave the house to me. Sometimes Cooper was there, sometimes not. But Evelyn was over there with Stacia, taking care of her. And she let slide any anger. She let slide any of Stacia's horrible moments, and she was in pain. And she was in agony. It was understandable. Not only was she in pain because of the disease, but she still had things that we all go through, that we all have, any unresolved trauma, any bad experiences that causes pain. And and memories that might not be the best. But Evelyn she worked through all of that. And she was there for Evelyn. She took her to doctors. She took her to movies. If Stacia wanted something, she'd get it. And she'd spend nights there. And this was after Evelyn had a couple of accidents. She fell once, and she had an accident with Rochelle. She was not in the best of health during that time. But she sacrificed herself to do these things for the daughter that she loved. And she looked past all the things that she could have taken offense to. And she just loved her. Her memories of Stacia were all the good things. I want you to figure for a second. Imagine viewing one pitch in the middle of the 5th inning of a Dodger game. All you can see is the pitcher, and the batter. And the pitcher throws a strike. The batter swings and misses. That's all you see. You didn't see the first half of the game. You didn't see the rest of the game. And someone comes up to you and asks you a question, what happened in the game? How did it start? Who pitched? Who was the first pitcher? Who got hits? Who got out? How many runs were scored? Did the manager ever argue with the umpire? How many people were in attendance? We can't answer that. All we see is that one little blip of that ball game, and everything else is we're blind to. That's how this life is. Regardless of what you think about where we were before we came to this life or where we're going, the fact of the matter is we don't know. Mortality has made us forget those facts. The thing about that is that now Stacia knows. So in spite of what the pain and agony or anything else that she went through in this life, she's on the other side now. She can go back and she can see where she came from, and she can see where she's going. And I'm not trying to start this. I'm not making this a religious thing. It's just a fact of life. She knows now where she's at. At least I believe there was a pre-existence and a post-existence, if you will, that went on forever. I can't wrap my head around an idea that we never existed in any way, shape, or form. But now that she can see that and recognize that many things that she did or thought and stuff like that, she's not responsible for because of her circumstances in her life. And we're all like that. But she, on the other side now, if in spirit form, if we can hum or sing, and I don't know that we can except in our hearts, I don't know. But if we can, I would suppose that she's humming the theme from Friends, that she's humming Take Me Out to the Ball Game. But I believe that this song, please bear with me, if I believe that this song that I'm going to play really quick, that she might be humming that also, because like all of us, at once we're blind and now we see.
A few weeks ago, my mom struggled with the decision of whether she was going to go on her trip to Iceland that she had already planned and paid for. Honestly, I tried to talk her out of it. And when she told me she was going to go, my first reaction was to be stressed because, being the control freak that I am, I felt responsible to step in and take over helping in any way that I could with Stacia and with my grandma. What ended up happening is Stacia and I became absolute besties. If she was being stubborn, which, if you know Stace, you know is often, with taking her medication or doing something, I would walk in the door, Stace would smile at me and say, "Hi, my friend," and immediately and happily take her meds and do all of the things that my grandma had been trying to get her to do all day. Going over to Stacia's house became something I looked forward to all day. Stacia, my grandma, and I bonded more over those last couple weeks than I ever knew possible. We laughed always. We watched Dancing with the Stars. And even though she was so exhausted, Stacia refused to go to bed until we watched every dance. One of the couples danced to the song "Hey Mickey," and as Rochelle said, Stacia could kind of barely talk at the end, and she looked at me and she whispered, "Name that movie." I said, "Bring It On, of course." Grandma kept saying, "Now what are you talking about?" She thought we were crazy because she had no clue what that was. Stacia was witty and hilarious through everything. One night, as she was slowly walking up to bed, my grandma was following a ways behind her, and all of a sudden we all hear Stacia just and we look up, and there's Stacia leaning over the banister, pretending to spit over onto my grandma's head. She had everyone laughing all the time. She was quite determined to do everything on her own, and so she hated having all of us doting on her. And Grandma was determined to dote on her 24/7. One night, after I helped Stace get into bed, Grandma left the room to grab something, and Stacia looked at me and she said, "Lock that door and do not let that woman back in here." I must have looked at her kind of surprised, because I couldn't tell if she was serious or not. She goes, "I'm joking." So, my mom going on her trip actually ended up being the biggest blessing possible for me. At that time, the relationships that I built with my grandma, with my family, my aunts and uncles, and with Stacia, especially over the last few weeks, I will cherish forever. We love you, and we miss you, Aunt Stace.
So we decided to come together because it's very hard. So we're part of the Fab Five that everyone's been hearing about. Stacia and I always joked about who made the five fabulous. Because I always said it was me. She always said it was her. And so I'm going to let her have that one. So from a very early age, I don't have any memories without Stace. And I think as I walked into this room today, everybody that hugged me said the same. So I'm excited for when I see the rest of my family. For now on, they're gonna look at me and think of her, because there's just no possibility that you can't. When Brian was talking about all these things, I was checking them off, like yes, yes, yes. I was part of all of those things. We argued from a very early age which sport was better, tennis or softball. So I would go down to the park and watch them play tennis. I would try and hit it over and then say, see, I'm a good softball player because I can hit it all the way over that fence. I was terrible at tennis, but she loved that sport. Scary movies, I would go there because I got to watch scary movies at my Aunt Evelyn's house. One night she decided we were going to watch Sleeping with the Enemy, and I was very scared. And I thought my mom is going to be so angry that Bryant and Stacia are letting me watch this movie. So my daughter loves scary movies, and every time I talk about scary movies, I think of Stace. So, we're going to miss her a lot. We had a lot in common. I had a lot in common with Stace. Even recently, I'm a big baseball fan as well. And when my team won the World Series 2 years ago, she texted me and said, I was secretly rooting for them since the Dodgers weren't in it. And I said, that's big. That's big of you to really root for my team. I know that's tough for you. So there's not a memory that I don't have without Amber and Stacia. So I will miss her deeply. And she had our back all the time. Probably more times it was my idea, and then she would take the blame because she was protecting me from Uncle Adrian or my mom or somebody yelling at us. Amber always outed me that it was my fault and it wasn't Stacia's. So we're going to miss you, Stace.
I told Kim I needed to go first, but I'm the youngest of the Fab Five. I did pull that card. So I brought up the thing here because right here on the corner of the program is a picture of me and Stacia and Kim and Ashley. And there is a story behind that picture. We went to Arizona to see Stacia, and it happened to be, what do you call it, spring baseball or whatever spring training. There you go. Not a huge baseball person. And we hadn't thought it through well, didn't have a rental car, didn't really have anything to get us to Stacia's house. So we got in the cab of death, literally, and did not know that we were going to make it to Stacia's house. So I'm laughing at this picture so I can stand up here for a minute. I am like Rochelle and Kim. We were the Fab Five, and we did everything together. Living in Riverton, I just lived not far from Pleasant Grove, so me and my sister Stacy had many weekends that we spent at their house in Pleasant Grove. One memory, I don't know if you guys remember this, but we usually always ended the weekend, not every weekend, but at Sizzler. And then it would always be the guess of how many, because that was before they just refilled your cups. They would bring you a new cup, and we would always guess at how many cups of Coke I would have when we left. But as I was thinking about some of the memories with Stace, there was actually one that I completely forgot about that came to mind. And I might get this city wrong, but when Cooper was just little, I don't mean he could walk, but he wasn't very big, just a toddler. Stace lived, I think it was in Linden in a townhouse. I might be wrong with that, and I don't even remember where she worked. But I didn't live very far, and I got to go and watch Cooper on many occasions when Stacia would work. And I was telling Cooper today, he probably doesn't remember this, but he had a sleep sack that he would sleep in, and he was always determined to put it on downstairs, and then he would have to walk up the stairs to the bedroom, and that was sometimes challenging. But what I remember about those times is when Stace would come home, and Cooper was asleep. And, you get busy as you get older, and life gets busy, and we're all everywhere. But Stace and I would always have, longer than maybe sometimes necessary because it would get late. But we had a lot of nights that we just got to sit and talk. And it was fun to do that more on an adult level than just as we were kids. So that's one of memory that I think all of us could share. But we will miss her, but we will just think of her often. Love you, Stace.
Stacia was my idol growing up. When my mom says, when you think of Stacia, all of her nieces and nephews say favorite aunt, and I know Rochelle says she's our favorite Aunt Rochelle, so that, we don't have to decide between all of the amazing aunts we have, but she really was my idol. I truly thought that there was nothing she couldn't do, because anytime I needed anything, Stacia was there to help. If I needed a fun way to respond to getting asked to a dance, she had so many ideas in her head. Like she instantly, I'd say, hey, this is how I got asked, and she automatically had a way to respond that was so quirky and fun, just like her. When I needed my hair done for that dance, she had the perfect updo. Sometimes she didn't have the perfect hairdo, and she would take me and Brooke's hair and rat it. Her and Rochelle would rat it until it was sticking straight out, and we would call ourselves witches. And I always thought they were so fun until my mom got a hold of the brush and had to brush it out. My head still hurts. Whenever I needed a skit for a student council election or a lip sync act, as Brooke mentioned, she always had the perfect way to do it. And her unwavering support didn't change as I grew older. She got me a job at Texas Roadhouse before I was old enough. I was surprised that she didn't get in trouble for that, but I didn't like cake. And for my wedding, she made us a donut tower. Rochelle, I know she made one for you too. Anytime we needed a good laugh at a family gathering, she was there to yell at my mom for trying to poison us, as she mentioned. It's a wonder we all survived the poisoned potatoes and rotten butter. And I will always remember that, and that memory will never die because now I have a little sister who will do the same thing. She'll yell at us for all the rotten food. Bryant introduced her to the scary movies, and then she passed that down and introduced them to us. And I remember we were watching It, and I'm pretty sure it was Bryant and Stacia. Rochelle, you could have been there, but they all went out, and at my grandma's house, the TV was right next to the double sliding glass door. And we were watching It at a way too young age, and they came up and banged on the window, and it scared us so bad, but that was always her just making you laugh. And I'll never see a bottle without thinking of Stacia. On Wednesday last week, I went and opened her fridge, and there's like 7 bottles in there. And I just remember as a kid, I would hear her start spraying the spray butter on her potatoes, and I would start to count, and every time I got to like 17 before I gave up. The color pink Frida McFadden books. I've got one at home. She was on page 70. So I'm gonna read it, and when I get to page 70, I'm gonna read it out loud so she can finish it. And sorry guys, but we're gonna have to watch Friends episodes at every Thanksgiving and Christmas gathering for the rest of our lives. And one of my personal favorites, obviously, that we share, if you guys know me, you know Stacia, it's working out. So whenever I'm on that treadmill and I'm just dreading every decision that led me to being on said treadmill, thank you, Bryant, I'll remember Stacia and the countless hours she spent on her treadmill. You know, if she can do it, I can do it. There's so many things that will forever remind me of my Aunt Stacia. My Aunt Stacia, my idol. I love you so much.
Hi. Before I want to start, I want to just say that I don't know you. I don't know some of you guys, but I want to say I'm Reese Taylor, and I'm Brooke's daughter. And for you guys know me, but hello, family and friends. I am so sorry for everyone's loss, but hopefully we can have some laughter during this. But I wanted to share some moments with Stacia because I just have small ones and hopefully not take too long. When I was little and my mom and dad would say no to candy or soda, Stacia said yes and gave me Dr. Pepper, candy, and ice cream. But it paid off because I love Dr. Pepper from this day on. But also, when Stacia was sick, I would come over and play Uno with her and Grandma Grape. Grandma Grape would always lose and have the best cards. She was never a player. I didn't get enough time with her, but I'm so thankful I got to spend time with Stacia during the last few weeks. Just knowing Stacia cared for everyone and everything, even her spray butter, ranch, and chapstick. Stacia, please know that everyone wants you to be here with us, but most of all, being active. Thank you. Bless you all.
I just want to start off by saying I was very scared to come up here. I hate talking in front of people. It makes me nervous, and I knew I was probably going to cry. But I was talking to someone not too long ago, and I told them that saying a few words through tears is better than saying none at all. So I'm going to take my advice. This morning I woke up and I thought, I won't do my makeup. I won't do my mascara because I know I'll cry. And then I thought of Stacia, and everyone has said she had always cared about nice things, including her appearance, whether that was a full face of makeup, colorful eyeshadow, fresh manicure, fresh pedicure, or a stylish outfit. And so I put on my makeup in this bright pink dress, and it made me feel good. I have a few memories with Stacia. She's one of my favorites. She was a big sushi lover. She loved sushi. I used to hate it. I was always scared of raw fish or that bright colored whatever's on it. But she would always tell me that life's too short to be scared of raw fish or colorful food, and so I would try a bite. And more times than not, I would like it, and I enjoyed it. And so, sorry. Even if I didn't like it, she was right. Life is too short to be scared of trying something new. And that doesn't apply just to sushi. It applies to everything in life. So I encourage everyone to be like Stacia and try new things, no matter how scary or how nerve-wracking it can be. Thank you again to everyone who came far, short distances to support my beautiful aunt. She is and was an amazing soul, and thank you to everyone who came to support her. I love you, Stacia.
My talk isn't going to be as good as the others since of how short it is, but I just wanted to quickly get up here and say about all the different Uno games or notes me and Stacia have written together. And I wanted to say how much I love those memories of her and how much I wish those could still go on. So this is going to be really short, but I just wanted to say that and say how much of writing letters, all the non-stopping Uno games. How much everybody else had good cards, but they never used them, especially Grandma. So yeah, I just wanted to say I love you, Stacia, and all the great memories we had of those.
This is so hard. But I loved Stacia so much that I just need to let everyone know. Stacia was such a huge part of my life.
And oh my gosh, we had such great times and such naughty times. And as I've been going through all the memories this week, one of the stupid things I want to tell is one time at Young, this is one of the times we got in trouble and we were so dumb. But we were up at Young Women's Camp and we met these boys. We're not supposed to be talking to boys at Young Women's Camp, okay? But we met these boys and we started talking to them. And then after we were talking to these boys, we went off and we just kind of were doing our own thing and we didn't realize that everyone thought we were lost. And so all of a sudden we hear people yelling our names. They're searching for us through the forest. And we were dumb, we were young, and we were dumb, so we went and hid in our tent. Well, the whole camp was searching for us. And I remember we were sitting there going, what are we going to do? What are we going to tell? Like, how are we going to get out of this? We are in so much trouble. And everybody else is freaking out. And they thought we got on some motorcycle and left. We weren't that dumb. But when they found us, and my mom was the camp director, when they found us, I think they were equal parts relieved and so happy we were safe. And then my mom wanted to murder us. And when we got home, Evelyn wanted to murder us. But it was just, that was like the epitome of us. We were just getting into mischief. As I've been going through this week of just feeling so sad, I've been going through pictures and I read when Stacia and I were seniors, we just really thought we were too cool for school. And we didn't allow people to write in our yearbooks. I don't know, we were dumb, okay? I don't accept each other. And then a few people who caught us out the door when we, the day we got our yearbooks. So I have this whole page of what Stacia wrote. And it just made me smile and cry and just remember, I mean, endless boy drama, endless cheer drama. But then she also wrote, she said, remember that night, that's cheesy, she called it a cheesy, remember that cheesy night we just sat there and talked about how fun it was to smile? And I just have so many happy memories. I don't want to take up too much time, but I loved her so much. I just can't even believe that we're here today. One of my last memories with her was that she came to my daughter's wedding. My daughter, Stacia. I remember asking Stacia permission to name my daughter after her. And now looking at my daughter and how she didn't know Stacia that well, but she even has this special connection and bond with her because of the name being shared. She always wanted, when Stacia had her donut shop, I don't know if everybody knew that, but when Stacia had her donut shop, we went in there and we would get donuts from her and we'd sit there and laugh and talk and my daughter would say, I want this to be my first job. I want my first job to be working for Stacia. And unfortunately, she didn't have the shop anymore by that time, but Stacia's so amazing. And I think, as we've all heard, she could just cheer anyone else up. And I love her so, so much. And I just want to tell her family how much I love you guys, too. Bryant, you were like the coolest thing. We just thought Bryant was like the coolest. He is, right? And you all were like my second family. And I couldn't have my mom at my daughter Stacia's wedding, but Evelyn was there. And that was a really, really special time for me. And I love your family so much. And I love Stacia.
Stacia was so awesome. I've been going through some of our text messages over the past few years that are still on my phone, and they're all like helping me. She was always looking out for other people, so I was reading our text messages, and they were all Stacia trying to find photography gigs for me to find work for me. It was just awesome reading those texts. I mean, like, man, she just cared about other people so much. She was just awesome. I was looking out for other people, but Stacia was always like, my sisters have kind of told about how she would help them do their dances and stuff. I always looked at Stacia as the creative one. And when I was proposing to my wife, we were at the zoo, and I knew this was going to be the perfect moment to get the wooded area set up, but I hadn't planned it out. And I believe I called my mom, and I knew Stacia needed to be there. So I called my mom and said, call Stacia, because I know that it'll be done right if she is there. And it was awesome. I was looking at the pictures of it the other day, and it was in an orchard, and Stacia went day of with no prior planning or anything and set it up, and we surprised my wife, and she said yes, so that's good. But it's awesome. I'm so glad to have the photos of her in such a special moment. But Stacia was also mischievous. She ran a Texas Roadhouse location, and when she left this job, she swiped a large book of gift cards. And me and my friend helped her move one of her treadmills from the garage to the basement so she could work out inside. And in return, she gave me probably 30 of these gift cards, and they were 2 free meals, so quite a large monetary value. And Stacia had helped me plan out the perfect crime. We would go Orem, Lehigh, Taylorsville to different locations. And this went on for about a month. Instead of having our protein shake after the gym, me and my friend would head straight to Texas Roadhouse and get our protein from the meat there. And this went on for a couple months, but what we hadn't planned is Stacia obviously didn't sit down with my mom and map this crime out, because we went into Texas Roadhouse about 15 minutes after my mother had left. She didn't have the gig down, and she went to the same location on the same day. And when we went to pay with the gift card, the manager came out and started questioning me. And I knew it was my mom's fault, but that the gig was up. Yeah, she was just so awesome and always looking out for other people, always putting them first, always willing to help. And I just want to say thank you, Stacia, for all the fun memories and for all the support.
I'm sorry. I know I was already up here and I played a song, but just, I don't know why, one of the memories that comes to my head all the time that just is so Stacia is we used to always just go to parks. If you know our family very well, you know we spend a ridiculous amount of time together as like an extended family with our aunts and uncles. And some of the photos over there, it's like sibling style photos with me and Paige and Rochelle and Stacia. It's really weird. They don't even all have Bryant and my mom. But we'd go to the park and just bring picnics and things. And there was one day we were at the park and this giant ball came bouncing through right on the food table and kind of made a mess, and we were all kind of frustrated and turned around, and it was Stacia. I was so sure it was one of my kids, and it was Stacia. And that's just how she was. She was kind of always getting us in trouble or making us laugh. And that was really her intent. She just wanted to have fun all the time. But what I really want everybody to know that we've already been saying is how much she cared about everybody. We have a lot of stepkids in our family between Rochelle and I, and that didn't matter at all for Stacia. I feel like she was always the most welcoming and loving and would just, it's like she knew them their whole lives and from birth on. There was no hesitation. And as stepmom to kids that she just loved and took on, I'm very grateful for that. Between my husband and I, we have 7 kids. And so we often worry about finding a babysitter or asking someone to babysit because that's a lot. And one night we needed somebody and we're like, who could we ask who would be okay with this? And we called Stacia and she showed up at our house with the biggest stack of games in the world. And she played games with those kiddos for hours and hours. I don't know if they remember it. And sent us videos of charades, little Abigail playing charades for hours. And she, you know, I love my kids, but I don't love to play games for hours. I get really frustrated and over it, but Stacia just would keep going. And every time Reese would beg to go play Uno, every form of Uno, by the way, if you don't know, there's a lot of them, and Stacia has them all. But Reese's particular favorite was the one with the gigantic Uno cards, and that's part of why Grandma struggled so much, because she couldn't hold them. They were so big. But I always felt bad. I was like, we don't need to bug Stacia, Reese. Like, we don't need to go and bug her with Uno. But I don't think she minded. I think she liked it. And she would just play no matter how she felt, no matter what she was doing when we interrupted her. So many hours of games. When Reese was born, she, in the evening, would cry a lot. Not as much as Cadence, but she had silent reflux and it would get exhausting. But Stacia spent a lot of time at my house with my mom and my grandma, just holding Reese. And she really did love the babies and the little ones. And like everyone said, she always gave them their first taste of sugar, whether we wanted them to or not. Like so much. Like just piles and Dr. Pepper to my baby. And I was like, Stacia, she's 1. She doesn't need caffeine. But she did it anyway. And we love her for it. And she's been such a constant in my life. My entire life. Stacia, Rochelle, and Brian were there, and we did idolize all 3 of them. I read every book they recommended, every musical they liked. We went to every basketball game to watch Stacia cheer, and football games, and dance performances, and I loved all of it. As a teenager, I spent a lot of time with Stacia. She had a little bit of a challenge at that time, and so I got to hang out and spend some time with her. And anyway, I just don't know what I'm going to do without Stacia and the stupid pictures of her cat. I don't think we've talked enough about Mazzy. I don't know. Grandpa, second to Cooper, might be Mazzy over the Dodgers. It's pretty close. Not really. Mazzy's probably third, but Mazzy has her own bedroom. And every cat toy you can imagine, and she would just send me pictures of of Mazzy all the time. Just random photos too, not even good ones. But anyway, I love her so much. And we're gonna miss her so much. So.
I don't want to cut anyone off if there was anyone else that wanted to say something. Otherwise, I would just like to say thank you to everyone who's been here and shared in this time and shared their love, to everyone who has shared their memories. I think Stacia would absolutely love this. It was perfect. One of my favorite singers said, "Life is a song. It ends when it ends." And if Stacia's life was a song, it was absolutely glorious. As we leave here today, I hope that we can all carry a little bit of Stacia in our heart. And when we think of her, I hope that our memories will be just like her. Strong, brave, loving, and yeah, just a little bit sassy. We're now going to make our way to the Wayne County Cemetery. We're not going to go in a procession. It's too much, and as most of you know, it's a one-lane road. um, but we will be gathering there in about an hour for those who are able to join. But just once again, thank you so much for being here. It's just a room full of love. And Stacia deserves all the love in the world. So thank you for being here. I think that's it. I know we're gonna, oh, I'm so sorry. I did forget one thing that you told me to remember to say. If you would all please stand up as we exit with the casket, and then the hearse will go first, followed by the cars with the flowers, and then anyone else who wants to join can just meet us at the cemetery. I will lead you out, sure.
Okay, Paul Durrs, we'll have you follow Bryant down and out to the doors there. We will pass.
So like the ones that stay at the cemetery, that one with the full glass.
Okay. I started to do the glass ones, yeah.
register book, the remotes. Sorry, excuse me.